All right, greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to the Crypto Truth, where I give you the truth as I see it. Okay, so one of the subscribers actually requested that I talk about the hot token and this other version 2 token, and should we transfer our tokens and swap our tokens, because a lot of people have been talking about this whole swap about the original Holofuel for like forever. I've made a couple of videos about this, and everything is coming almost exactly like I thought it would. Actually, even more so than I thought it would. It's kind of scary. If you go back to my hot/holofuel video, you'll go back in time and kind of see where my thought process was. But I was wanting to make this video anyway for a long period of time. I had to bring the whiteboard back out. Hopefully it still works. But let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to talk about Holochain and its real world value. Not Holochain, excuse me. Mutual credit currency and what they're attempting to do with this. Before we do anything, let's just get a few terms right, because I'm tired of calling it HV2 whatever. So I decided to name it something else, my own creative token, right? So we're gonna call this this company, instead of Holo, which is still gonna be under Holo, but we're gonna call it Mutual. No, excuse me, that's not what it was. I already need my eraser. There it is. We're gonna call it. Excuse me. We're gonna call it. Why do I have the Jesus? All right. We're gonna call it Peer Mutual Credit Financial, and we're gonna name it the PMC token for Peer Mutual Credit. Okay, so we have the Peer Mutual Credit Financial token. Give me 1 second, you guys. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure that it was within the camera's view here. So we have the Peer Mutual Credit Financial token, which is going to be, we're going to call it, for all intents and purposes, the PMC token. We're going to have hot over here. And we all know that this is the Holo token. All right. So first off, we have to talk about what the intentions are, because I kind of described it before in the last video, but I'm going to try to give you a little bit more of a visual here. So how a credit system works is we're looking at positives and negatives, looking at credit and debt, credit and debit, excuse me. And so the key point to mutual credit, or the reason why mutual credit is important, especially in a series of, when we're going to get into it, but what they're attempting to do with the company or organization is to have a group of deep-end projects say, okay, we're going to all participate in this pool, and it's going to be a different token or credit system, which in this case we're calling the Peer Mutual Credit Financial, in which everyone can participate and have this PMC, I guess we have to call it token, Peer Mutual Credit. And what they can do is, after that, then they Holo, for example, will pay their clients in hot. Others will pay their clients in other ways, and maybe even use hot as well. So that's the first thing. But let's get into the purpose. Why are we having a mutual credit currency? Or why mutual credit, and what is the purpose? So understanding the purpose will help you understand what you should do in your life, as far as, or how you should see it. And this is how I see it. So mutual credit says, okay, well, if somebody owes somebody something and it goes back and forth, and it's always zero, because the moment that someone pays somebody something, it goes back to this, it goes back to this, it goes back to this. It's at zero, right? So that means that there's no, at no point that there's no, what's the word? There's no extra credits or anything. We look at the dollar system, right? It kind of goes like this, kind of goes in waves like this. Well, our government says we're 36 trillion in debt, but what's the word? We're 36 trillion in debt, but we, for financial purposes, we're going to how should I say it? Man, I got lost in. You know what? Forget that example before I even get lost here. I better stick with my main thing, what I was talking about, so we don't get sidetracked, because I got a lot to say. Anyway, how our current system works, we're just going to say how our current system works, is that when you own a home loan or you buy a home, you go into debt, right? You go to like $400,000 in debt, and then you have to pay it back. But when you pay it back, there's interest, and also when you pay it back, there's that's a larger purchase, right? And so you pay it back in increments. Well, most of us pay it back in increments. Well, what happens is that when you do that, you kind of have something like this, and then it's like this, and that's completely and totally uneven, right? Going back to, if I give you something. If I give you an apple, if an apple falls out of a tree, and I give you the apple, there's no more apples created. There's just an exchange of value, and it's equal. And at that point, there's no credit. There's no extra apples in there. It's just exchange, in which at the end of the day, we're back at what they call it. It's a specific term, zero. Anyway, sorry about the terms. So just to get back into this before I get way too. By the way, you guys, I am not a financial expert, but I am familiar with the terms. I just, yeah. So anyway, for mutual credit, it's often run like this. When someone gets, actually, this is a better example, you guys. I am so sorry. This is a better example. So it's going to go like this. How mutual credit works is somebody has something and they give something to somebody. And now we're back at zero because nobody owes anybody anything. Same thing, that person does the same thing. Same thing, right? And so we are looking at a pretty equal value when it comes. That's the whole purpose of what they're trying to do with value, right? Is to have something with real world value, which is, in this case, would be they're actually using a credit system and using whatever technology, remember that whole pool thing, whatever technology or whatever service, hosting service, whatever you're providing, they're providing those services, and that is real value. Well, how do we put value into some of these services? Well, if everyone agrees, right, that there's a certain type of service available, or credit or token, and agrees that, okay, we have a certain amount, it's equal to this value. So now how do we put this value into physical terms, right? How do we put the PMC token into physical world value or real world value? Well, They use their PMC, similar to, we're just going to say this because this is no longer hollow fuel, but we'll use our PMC and we'll switch it. They will pay, they will pay the host and PMC, and then the host will say, well, I've accumulated a lot of PMC. I want to go into my token, or we'll go hot here. So we have we have these companies and organizations providing a service. They all say, okay, well, you can accumulate the PMC token, and then the earners, or the people who earn, in this case, that would be those who own holoports, will earn PMC. They will switch it over to hot, right? They said the local currency as well. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a basket of things. We're going to talk about having a basket of different currencies because that's one of the most efficient ways to actually keep value, and it keeps you from actually defaulting in your own life, right? So if you have one of anything, there's a high probability or a good chance that if things go bad, it's not gonna go well for you. So you want to diversify yourself. In this case, all of these companies and organizations have this value, and their intentions are to say, okay, well, we're going to use the PMC, and then we can go in this company. A different company might say, well, we have the PSC, but we're going to pay our clients are going to use, I don't know, whatever token it is, and whatever token it is. Like it just really divides itself up. And then, as we can clearly see, there's a lot of what Arthur Brock was saying was that there's even some companies that are going to be using the hot token specifically instead of, whatever. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of onboarding to where a lot of companies will be like, wait a second. I can actually have value. I don't have to create a token. I don't have to worry about financial regulators and different things like that. And that's one of the things that Arthur Brock was talking about is this whole, I'm not part of CFTC. I'm not part of the SEC. I don't understand a lot of it. But I do understand that there's so much red tape when it comes to actually controlling where value goes in a specific country. And this is extremely frustrating for many of us. Like, for example, the hot token is still not available in the United States of America. God knows why. We don't understand, because you got Shiba Inu and all of these other meme coins available in the United States. It boggles my mind. Okay, leave it alone. Okay. All right. So we got the hot token here. And those who have hot tokens can take it into, and we're going to talk about this, they can put it into Bitcoin. They can take it and they can withdraw. They can put it in Ethereum. They can take it to another exchange. They can go cash, right? They can withdraw it into cash. They can do a lot of different things with the hot token. Or sometimes in some countries, depending on where you are, you can have your local currency. You can bypass all of this. But what will happen is some people who get their local currency will say, no, I want Bitcoin. And they'll switch back into all that kind of stuff. So it all kind of goes full circle. Now, why am I talking about this in this way? Because a lot of people are really confused about the purpose of mutual credit. The purpose of mutual credit is to create a system, a monetary system in which it is a unit of account, right? And you can't have a monetary system. It's very difficult to create a monetary system if everything was exchanged. And we're going to say, man, I'm getting weaker. Real estate, right? You can't chop up real estate and say, well, I'm going to pay you in 0.1 acres. You can't do that, right? Well, now in the crypto space, you say, well, what about Bitcoin, right? well, I can take my Bitcoin and I could pay for things. But the fees are so high. It's on blockchain, which blockchain is not Holochain. Please do your research and understand that Holochain is not a blockchain. It is its own distributed ledger technology. And that's very important to understand, because when you understand that, you understand why all of these other companies like Ion are going to be run on Holochain and not blockchain. So let's say you have Bitcoin. A lot of people say, oh, what about Bitcoin? Well, the fees are too high of Bitcoin, right? And so it kind of makes things a little bit more difficult. That's not a unit of account. That's a store of value, because no one wants to, and I'm sorry, I still don't understand who's selling their Bitcoin at this point, but no, I'm not selling my Bitcoin if I had any. But if I have a value in something that I can keep, like real estate, Bitcoin, what else? Stocks, right? So we use stocks, you have stocks, and you can't take stocks and say, well, I want to buy some apples. I want to get 2 point something shares. I give you 2 shares of this company for some apples. You can't do it, right? And so all of this becomes, I think that's enough of examples, but all of this comes to a fact that you just cannot, it's just not very efficient. Same thing with Ethereum. You got Ethereum, which works more of a store of value. You have hot, more of a store of value, and hot is an Ethereum ERC20 token. You have all of this stuff, but you can't do anything with it. However, you can do more with hot, you can do more with Ethereum, and as you go up, you can do more with Bitcoin. That should be right there. You can do more with stocks and real estate. It kind of goes up. You can do more, but you won't, at this point, you can't purchase anything with hot, right? But you can exchange all of this. You can exchange all of this for money. Okay? And if you have money, you have the ability to be able to decide what other things you want to purchase. So if real estate, let's say you have Bitcoin. Let's just go with Bitcoin. You have Bitcoin, or let's say you had GameStop and you shorted long games or whatever it was. That whole GameStop fiasco. I'm not calling it fiasco. They all play the game. But you've made so much money, right? You made so much money. You're like, well, I made $1 million, and we're going to say dollars here. We made $1 million, and we're going to separate that. I'm going to buy some Ethereum, buy some stocks, and buy some Bitcoin, right? You now separated it all. And that is the purpose of being able, that is the purpose of understanding, not purpose, excuse me. That is the reason why it's important to understand what you're actually doing with your energy or with your money, because all of it eventually goes into something physical. So all of these things you can actually purchase with money, which means you can actually purchase items like food and pay for gas. So there will always be, I know some people want everything to be decentralized. We're at the point in our world where everything is not going to be decentralized. You just have to come to terms with that. Okay? There are local, state, government, country laws, and you're going to have to abide by them. And if not, then I don't know. Oh man, I almost said something that was crazy. But unless something really catastrophic happens, this is going to be the way our system works. Now, what about the little guy? What about actual real world value, things that are going to help us in our life, this technology? So the way I see it is that these technologies, these DPIM projects, are actually saying, well, we want to create something of value in which you can actually use. So we're going to provide hosting service. We're going to provide a hosting service. We're going to provide, I don't know, other services that Arthur Brock had on his chart. And then with that, we're all going to come to an understanding that we're going to use a certain token, or in this case, the PMC token, to make sure that it holds its value, because the value is going to be equal, right? And when you exchange it into something else, obviously that's when, like for hot, for example. Now let's go into this whole swapping business, swap thing, whatever you want to call it, because I'm kind of I get irritated with some people because they really don't understand. And I really got onto people back in the day, because again, you're going to have, in my previous videos, I have the same thing. Hot hollow fuel. Hot has 177. Man, I need to stop putting this top on. It's a habit. Hot 177 billion estimated. Whatever, right? The mutual credit, or PMC in this case, the purpose, it doesn't have a value, right? As far as not value, it doesn't have it doesn't have a limited amount, but it's not infinity either. Why? Because if I give you an apple, I have an apple and I've now given it to someone else. And let's say I have 10 apples and I decide to give 2 apples to this person, 3 apples to that person. Well, I'm the only person with 10 apples. And let's say that another person can have a maximum of 10 apples. Another person has a maximum of 10 apples. Well, that's the purpose of the PMC. Wow, that's a B. Wow, that's terrible. Okay, PMC. So you got a PMC token, and you're going to say, well, should I swap my hot? Excuse me. I should have just did it that way. Should I swap my hot into the PMC token? Well, understand that if you swap your hot into the PMC token, you're going to be participating, right, in all of these services, or you're going to be paying into these services. So a lot of people who are going to switch their hot into the PMC token is actually saying, I want to participate in this program, in this credit system, and you can do whatever you want and pay, or I should say, the company can do whatever it wants and pay their clients in the PMC token, in which they can switch it over to hot. Now, the purpose before with the hot token was that it was supposed to be a placeholder. I told you guys I don't ever believe, and never believe, that it was ever going to be a placeholder. Never. You guys can go all the way back 4, 5, 6 years before all of this even changed. At no point in my mind, because there's still a lot of questions I have on how this is exactly going to work. But at no point in my mind did I believe that the hot token was just going to be a placeholder. I don't care what they said. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm a genius. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that my thought process and the way I theorize things will go, because of the way our world works, it cannot be a placeholder. You cannot have something in which people will earn and then tell them, oh, that's just a placeholder. Well, why am I earning it if it's just a placeholder and I got to go back? It doesn't make any sense to me. So anyway, we're going to throw it out the window. So for people who are on exchanges and say, oh, well, they got a PMC token, I'm going to exchange my hot for PMC. Well, if you exchange your hot for PMC, you're going to be able to do less things, but you're going to be able to participate in whatever hosting, paying people, paying hosts, all of those different type of things. That's what you're doing. When it comes to value, its value, whatever value it is going to be, and then by the way, these are my opinions. It doesn't mean that it's actually going to happen, but its value at the current market right now, we're still in price discovery mode. We're still extremely early into the crypto space. And so right now, Who the hell knows what the real value of hot is? Who the hell knows what the real value of PMC token is? But when everything comes together, PMC token, whatever value it has, the purpose of it is to keep its value almost similar to gold. We're not going to get into it because it's not a store of value, but it is a better unit, is a unit of account in which, okay, now I can do some things with this. I can actually equate it to a real world value of something of value. And what helps that out? Hot, because hot is going to be listed on exchanges. People are going to be able to quantify where they believe that this technology is going to take them. And that's the other crypto projects as well. Whatever they're paying their services for, they're going to be like, hey, you know what? This is the value. So at some point, there's going to be value that is going to be lined up with something of a service. And this is what I mean by equating real value for a service. Now, what that does is that restricts these people who are part of these programs or will be part of these programs. They want one thing. They want to be, it seems to me that they're attempting to create something in which there's no monopoly, in which there's no access of funds to be able to just rip people off, right? Now that's both positive and that's both positive and a little bit negative, because now we're running away from, not negative, but we're different. That's sort of word. Different because now we're running away from capitalism. And I don't want to get too far into that because that's an extremely long video and I have to do a little bit more research so I can get my terms right so you guys can actually clearly understand exactly what I'm saying. So anyway, so there's a limited amount of hot. There's, for the PMC token, a pure mutual credit token, there's going to be an unlimited amount, but it's all going to be quantified by how many units, 2, 3, 4, how many units that you have. And so at no point will there ever be an unlimited amount of units, if that makes any sense. Which means that it's not necessarily unlimited. It just means that there's going to be a controlled amount and it's going to adjust. This is going to be a deflationary token, just like Bitcoin, just like a lot of the other some of the other cryptocurrencies. Oh, don't get me started on that. And then the PMC token is actually going to be inflationary and deflationary all at the same time, which, as I stated before, is trying to have that zero measure there to where everything equals zero. I hope I was able to explain it a little bit about my thought process. So for some of you guys who are like, ooh, I'm going to take my hot, back in the day, they were like, I'm going to take my hot and I'm going to send it into the whole fuel. And I'm thinking to myself, and even Mary Camacho, and even Arthur Brock, and everyone was saying, why are you doing that? They didn't say that particularly, but they were like, why are you doing that? And the purpose was to actually, yes, in the future, we're not at that time yet. And I don't know if we ever get there. I don't know if there'll ever be a time where someone is like, hey, do you take PMC? Yeah, I take PMC. Okay, so now I can exchange my apples and, my PMC, and I can buy groceries with it. I can pay bills with it. And that may be the case because of you're keeping its value and you're keeping it equal. And what other countries are starting to do, congratulations, El Salvador, it says, hey, you know what? I don't want to be a part of this system anymore or TradFi anymore. I'm going to get Bitcoin. And El Salvador reaped the benefits for it. That's just the truth. Excuse me. Okay, just wanted to make sure we were still rolling here. All right, so we have, so if you want to participate in the PMC token, great. We don't know exactly what you'll be able to do with it if you're not a part of this program. So, but a lot of people who are part of this program, they're going to purchase a whole lot of HOT. And they're going to take that HOT and put it back into, they're going to take that HOT, they're going to purchase a whole lot of HOT so they can onboard themselves onto the PMC token. And that's what they're saying, is that they're going to have this swap thing going on. Me personally, I'm sticking with HOT. And I'm going to earn my PMC token by hosting, because I actually do have a Holoport. Makes sense? For me. So for me, I'm going to earn PMC. I'm going to take my PMC that I earned and I'm going to put it in the HOT. And I'm going to do whatever, all the other things that I need to do with it, pay bills and pay debt and all that other good stuff. But I'm keeping my HOT. Now, for some people, you may say, well, if I keep it in HOT, isn't that going to be more volatile? Anything on exchanges are going to be volatile, and that's why I don't know. And even Arthur Brock says, he says for sure these are going to be on exchanges. HOT is already on an exchange, but not an American exchange, by the way. But the PMC token, we don't know if those are going to be able to be on exchanges. And at that point, who cares if they are able to or not? Because of the fact that it's actually going to be used behind the scenes in a financial manner, in which people can, these companies and organizations can exchange value. Now I'm going to take it down a little bit. Let's look at XRP. The XRP token they're attempting to handle remittances, correct? So if you're trying to handle remittances, you got these different banks who they've been all trying to go into this whole, oh, well, we're going to have our own coin or we're going to have our own token and stuff. And they're finding out, wait a second, if I have my own coin and token, how am I going to give value to this other bank over here? We might as well just stick with the dollar, right? Or we might as well stick with our local currency. That would probably be the best. Hopefully they decide to just keep that. But what's happening in the background, and why I think that, Bank of America has a patent out for Holochain, is because of the fact that they're like, wait a second, I can actually use this distributed ledger technology in a more efficient way. Well, XRP is saying, hey, you know what? When all of the banks, we're going to agree on a value, XRP, and when all of the banks come together and all the financial services come together, we can now exchange value, and it's so much easier. Now, I want you to put that into real world, right? These real world assets, or these DPM projects, excuse me, I'm saying that wrong. These DPM projects, they're saying we're going to have value in the PMC token, and these are all the services that we're going to put value to, and we're going to all agree, okay, here we go. We got a bunch of PMC tokens. What are we going to do with it? Well, we can do whatever we want with it. And we can create that value by paying. Again, I'm kind of talking in a broken record here, but I'm going to pay my clients in HOT. I'm going to pay my clients in this token or that token or that token. And then they will have the options to be able to put it wherever they want. And that's where the exchange is where people are going to find out where the real value of how other people value things. So let's talk about that for a split second, and then I'll end this video. If I am a trillionaire, which obviously I'm not, but if I'm a trillionaire and I say, wow, this project has a lot of value to it, I think I'm going to put a couple $1 billion into it. You said, what? Yeah, I'm gonna buy so much hot because of the fact that I am pretty sure that this company is going to be successful. Well, that person, that one individual has now created value, and that was just from him. Now, obviously, if he's a trillionaire, or if I'm a trillionaire, I am, and this is how capitalism works. I don't want to get too much into it, but now I'm controlling a lot of the market, right? Uh, so that's gonna give people an inflated idea that, oh wow, this actually has value. But if that individual who is a trillionaire, where his value lies is up here because he's a trillionaire. People are gonna be like, hey, maybe he's onto something. Now, you take a broke ass dude like me and be like, I'm telling you, hey man, look, this technology is great. The way that they're doing things, they got the PMC token. They're going to actually create real world value to where we're not going too far in debt. And this is a mutual credit and it's going to work awesome. And we are going to get paid in a cryptocurrency called HOT so we can do whatever we want with it. And people look at me like, dude, are you all right? And so this is how value happens, how people see value. So when a king, and I hate to go into this, but when a king says the value is X, Y, and Z because he has power, other people are going to be like, well, it has that value. When millionaires and billionaires, and this is how people get tricked. Yes, I'm talking to you, Mr. Wonderful. This is how people get tricked into purchasing things that they don't know nothing about, but they say, oh, I thought FTX was a great project. Oh, I thought FTX was this X, Y, and Z. Well, you thought wrong, and you're a billionaire. How the hell did you not understand what real value is? But a lot of people listen to him because he made a lot of money. But what happens when you actually have a physical product or a DPN product? It doesn't matter whether Mr. Wonderful is saying it. It doesn't matter whether I'm saying it. It doesn't matter whether Peter Schiff is saying it or any of these crazy idiots out there that don't really understand how value works. They do a little bit in financial terms, more than I do. But these people, when they all see, well, he's providing a hosting service. Well, how much is that worth? Well, no. What's happening in the world? How are people adapting to this? That's where the value is going to lie. So I've been attempting to try to tell people, hey, look, I'm not going to tell you not to switch your HOT into the PMC token. I'm not going to tell you to take your PMC and switch it into the HOT token. You might want to do it in your local currency. But what I need you to do is please educate yourself and understand where the value is going to lie. Because for some of us who are in debt or have other things going on in their life, you might want to have some kind of something that is a store of value that's going to increase over time so that you can have a better life for you and your family and be able to live successfully in society, wherever you are in the world. So anyway, that's my breakdown. That's the reason why I am personally not switching my HOT into the PMC token. And by the way, for some of you guys who fast forwarded through all of that BS that I had earlier in the video, because I kind of struggled with it, please understand that this is just created. I assume, this is my own personal opinion, that they're going to have something called, maybe I'm calling it pure mutual credit financial. And by the way, there's only a couple of PMC tokens on exchanges. But we won't get into that because I don't know if they're going to be on exchanges or the PMC token, pure mutual credit token. But my point is that I'm trying to be creative and explaining exactly how this works. And so that's why that's created. So at the end of the day, please, people, you guys, I need you to do your research. I need you to understand exactly what you're doing with your life. Again, everything is philosophical. How you live your life, how you spend your money, how you actually treat your own body, that's all philosophical stuff. And if you're not being philosophical with the way you're living your life and your own body, which is more important than actual money or any kind of monetary system, I need you to get it together. All right. So do your research, you guys. I'm super excited about the direction that Holochain and Holo is going. Obviously, I've always stated when Holochain came out and they were in their beta, alpha, and they're in the beta and all that kind of stuff. I'm really excited. Then Holo, the same thing. I really think that they have a lot going on in the background, in which they have a lot of people who are going to want to participate and get into this system, because it's almost like a win-win situation for everybody and not just for the top of the top billionaires and trillionaires who just want to throw money into a crypto exchange and then inflate its value. The value will actually show for itself. Now, where do I think, this is the $1 million question, because I know a lot of people keep asking me. Stop asking me where I think the hot token is going to be. The hell if I know. I think that 10 cents is a disappointment, and I think it should be exactly where it should be if they don't have any services available in this bull run. Again, I talked to you guys before, and I still believe that it should be at least 50 cents this bull run. And then obviously, I do believe that if everything is operational and people are buying in before the end of this bull cycle, I'm definitely, as far as the value is concerned, it is definitely worth more than $1 all the way. But that's not the point. The point is where it's actually going to go, not what it's actually worth. Okay, so I'm hoping that it's gonna be worth $1 or more, as it should be. But these are, you can't do anything with these markets, especially things that are on exchanges. You just never know. So anyway, thank you guys very much. I really appreciate you guys. If you made it to the end of this video, thumbs up to you. I appreciate it. I know that I struggle a little bit sometimes, especially, and I get distracted a little bit. So I appreciate you guys' patience. But hey, as I always say, do your own research, do your own research, do your own research. And last but not least, above all else, you guys, stay safe out there, okay? Bye.